Hey, booze, hey. Do your blankets feel like super glue in the morning? Well, sis, it's time to shake them off. Welcome to Wake Up Happy Sis, the show that jumpstarts your day with a bang. We're strolling down these self-care streets as we navigate the maze of wellness and healing. We're helping you live happy, healed, and whole. And we do it all with a hearty dose of belly laughs for good measure. Stay tuned and get ready to wake up happy, sis. Hey, booze. Hey, welcome to the Wake Up Happy Sis show. Let me make sure we've got our Instagram popping. All right. So, wake up happy sis. I hope y'all are doing great today. I am your host, Leanne Dose, your Chief Self-Love Officer over here at the Wake Up Happy Sis show. And as you know, we broadcast live on KCCR Cityscape Radio, where we're changing the narrative because we're telling our stories our way, and we are always unapologetic about it. Look, let's talk, right? Because this show is not just about self-care. We talk about transformation. I want to be real with you. Now, as much as I love a good bubble bath, a good trip to the spa, and all those things, yes, those are self-care. But that's not the only self-care that there is. That kind of stuff is not going to heal the wounds that you just haven't dealt with yet. Now, this episode is about stepping in to the kind of healing that makes you whole, that makes you unshakable, and that makes you untouchable, unfuckwittable, if you will. This is the kind of healing that can break cycles, in generational curses, and can put you back in control of your own damn life, because that's what we want. That's what we're about here. And listen, I'm not doing this alone. Now, y'all know my co-host Sharon is usually here. She's traveling today, so she's not going to be joining us today. But I do have another powerhouse guest that's coming today, Stacey Sizemore, a transformation coach and a speaker who's helping women break free from stress, build resilience, and take their power back. I also have Ashley Browning, founder of She's Selfish, who's out here helping Black women reclaim their time, energy, and joy through deep self-care, mindfulness, and womb wellness. So, this is not the episode for you to multitask through. I need you to lock in, tune in, share this with your girl, grab a journal if you need to, and grab your favorite mug of whatever. We don't judge what's in your mug. And let's have some real raw and some necessary conversations. So let's welcome my guests to the show. Hello, ladies.
Hello. How are you all doing today?
Fabulous. Now, Ashley, do you have a light? We can barely see your face.
Do I have I didn't hear you.
A light that you can put in front of you, because we can barely see your face.
Can y'all see that? Is that better?
That's a little better. We'll work with what we got.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
So how are you guys doing before we jump into things? How are you guys doing this beautiful Thursday morning?
I'm great.
I'm doing well. No complaints.
We still here.
Look, we are still here. We are still here. We're going to do what we need to do to stay here.
Yes.
These next couple of years may not be the prettiest, but it ain't nothing that we ain't dealt with as people before.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to do what we do.
You are correct.
So before we jump into the topic, I like to get to know you guys a little bit more. So we have a couple of questions for you, just so you can share with our audience a little bit about yourself. So Stacey, we're going to start with you. Okay. So you're all about helping people break free from stress and from their limiting beliefs. And I think so many of us have been conditioned to just push through, right? Push through the exhaustion, the emotional weight, without even realizing that, baby, you are burned out and you are just running on fumes. So what do you think is the biggest misconception Black women have about stress, and what's kind of that first step for them to truly release it?
I guess it is being okay not to be okay. And we as women, we're nurturers naturally. And we don't take time for ourselves. We lose our identity behind our kids, our spouse, significant
Yeah.
others, and we forget about us. And that's why at 30 or 40, we start saying, I'm unfulfilled. It's not working for me because we forgot who we were. And we just continuously, when I first started as a holistic coach, I was doing self-care, but it was all about, it was on the surface. Smile, you're beautiful. You just, a lot of times so we're not always healthy inside. So
Yes.
telling someone that you're a queen, you're this, you're that, when they haven't worked on the inside. Like Lauren Hill said, how I'm gonna win when I can't win when I can't win within if I'm not getting
Yes, from not right within. Yeah.
right within. Yeah, because we so it has to go deeper. And that's when I started saying like we have to go back and deal with wounds. And my own personal transformation is from pain to purpose. I had to deal with my own wounds before I started healing. And that's the hard part. Um, if you grew up in the church, most of us did spiritually, I'm too blessed to be stressed. That's a lie.
That is the biggest lie.
We struggle with that. How can I be saved? How can I be this? And I'm human first, and I have to go through it. Sometimes you have a call and a wounded healer, you got to expect it. I expect, I connect with people through my scars. And I think that's one of the things that we don't know how to be cared for. We don't know how to care for ourselves. So a lot of that is allowing someone to, one, love ourselves enough to say, I deserve this, and stop being apologetic about it. No means no. It's okay. I disconnect. Everybody, my friends always say, you don't never answer the phone. Do not disturb, because I disconnect from me. Because it is hard for me. I'm an empath. So I used to always care what I say, how it's going to affect you. No, I'm putting myself last. How you take it is up to you. But I have to look out for me. But that's a journey. And we don't start like that. But it's the first thing is acknowledging it.
Yes. And I definitely wholeheartedly believe everything that you said. And it's what I do in my business as well. And that first step is always the hardest, because we do think, oh, we can just, I'm gonna put everybody else first. I've got kids, I've got a husband, I got to do this stuff at the church. I'm an owner of a business, so I got to focus on all these employees and stuff. And we're so used to putting ourselves last and just letting the stress pile up and pile up and pile up. And we lock the trauma away in different parts of our spirit. But there's only so much
you can do
that you could take. It's like a balloon. Eventually, it's going to bust.
And then you become the sister with the attitude, because you got resentment. And, we can't blame anybody but ourselves, but we resentful because you see everybody else living their lives and doing what they want to do. But we put ourselves back there.
Yes, 100%. 100%. And now, Ashley, girl, I really love the work that you do, because you're challenging this idea that self-care really is just bubble baths and brunch and spas and all the cutesy fun things, right? And you teach Black women to reclaim their time, their energy, and their joy at the deepest levels. So what does true self-care actually look like beyond that surface level that Stacey was talking about? And why is it so important for our healing?
Well, we all know that self-care has really become a buzzword, right? So a lot of times it is something that we just add to our to-do list, right? It's another thing that we feel like we have to check off. But I always tell people that self-care is that going into yourself, doing that shadow work, going back to that childhood, going back to forgiving people, going back to forgiving yourself. So it's that really ugly work, right? It's that work that you're going to be snotting and crying and you don't even know why you snotting and crying.
Yes.
So making sure that people understand that self-care is something that is replenishful, something that is refreshing, that is restorative, and not just something that is, I always want to tell people it's not self-maintenance. So self-maintenance and self-care is two different things. And a lot of times we want to say self-maintenance is me getting my hair done, right? or me wanting to get a pedicure. Like everybody want to look good. You don't want to look bad. So that's self-maintenance, right? So it's a big difference. And I want to dispel the myth that you have to do something. You can literally just sit quiet and listen to your inner self. And that can be where you begin that work to really say, you know, what does my 9-year-old self need? What does, you know, my person that I need to forgive? There's a part of me that I need to forgive. Like, what does that person need? So, like, what does that look like? Is that meditation? Is that journaling? Is that really connecting with a therapist? Is that really going deep and connecting within yourself? Is that connecting with the higher power or wherever you need to do to get that help? But it's usually not something that you have to pay for. So I usually tell people that.
Yes. Well, yes. So I think for me, right now, I love a good spa day, you know, like the next person. And that can be a part of your self-care routine. I take my bath, I get my tea, but I agree. If you're not doing that healing work, if you're not walking into that storm and dealing with all the trauma that has turned into personality characteristics, that has turned into walls that you've built up that you say, oh, I'm just a direct person. No, you're guarded. You guarded, you're scared, you're traumatized from the things that you've been through, and rightly so. But we cannot continue to remain broken. It's okay to break. Things break you, but it is not okay to stay broken and to tuck it all away and act as if everything is okay because I took a hot bath last night, or I went to the spa. It's not resolving the underlying issues.
Right.
And you're going to keep facing that same trauma with a different face until you deal with it.
I like that, Ashley. Self-maintenance. That is totally different. Self-maintenance. Yep.
Yeah, it's like having a self-care routine.
I like that.
Right? And I tell people, what's your routine? Yes, there's the routine things that I need to do or that I like to do. But, and that is a component of self-care. But there's also that work. There's the real work that has to be done around your emotional, mental, and wellness.
Yeah.
And we can't just keep acting like everything's okay, because it's not.
Yeah, I always say it's okay not to be okay.
Yes. That look, I tell people that all the time. But it's not okay to stay that way. And I think for me, being in my early 50s, growing up, we didn't have all of these concepts of mental health support. It was not a thing that you did. You didn't go get support. You didn't go talk to a therapist. What? That means you are crazy. Something is really wrong with you. And you know, what happens in our family stays in our family. So all the trauma that we went through was locked inside. And we were taught that we were not worthy of love, that we were not beautiful, we were not good enough, we couldn't talk and speak up because children should be seen and not heard, right? And some of the trauma wasn't even trauma that they meant to dump on us. It's just generation of what they've been taught, so they keep going with it. But at some point, somebody got to raise a hand and say, okay, I'm done with this. I want something different for me and for my children. So Ashley, what was your own wake-up call that made you realize that self-care just wasn't enough without that deep healing work?
It was kind of similar to what you said in the beginning. I was at a place in my life where I was completely burnt out, right? Nothing was bringing me joy. I was not passionate about anything at that particular time. And it was like a light bulb kind of went off when I heard someone say, women, Black women especially, they take care of everybody else but themselves. And it was just like literally a light bulb went off, and I said, that's so true. And it was like, okay, now how do I begin to do the work to make sure that my cup is always full, right? So that is when I got into that space. And that was probably about 6 years ago now. that I was able to like go through that process of, you know, starting therapy so I can pinpoint what my triggers are, being able to know that, you know, there are some people that I need to let go of, and, you know, holding on hurts me more than anything else, right? So like, how do I let go and be able to keep going, and how do I get to a point where I'm from a place of that I'm not from a place of anger, like Stacey said, or resentment. How do I come and show my best self? And what does that look like? Because like you said, Leanne, a lot of times we are not able to be our best selves, or we were taught to hide it, or push it under the rug, or, you know, don't talk about it. So like that is traumatic within itself, that you don't even have the space to talk, you know? So I didn't want to be silenced anymore. I didn't want to be, have my voice taken. So I am a very outspoken person. So I was always that kid that got in trouble for questioning and having those questions that like, well, that don't make sense. So like now I'm being told, like, since it don't make sense, like, well, you're not supposed to question adults. Why? Like, that don't make sense to me, you know? So that kind of space. So being in this space, or being in a position that I am able to be my whole self and be authentically me wherever I show up.
Yes, I love that. And I think that comes with age and with experiences, where, especially if you grew up a certain way and you didn't feel like you were able to be yourself and to be authentic and true, right? Because maybe somebody's not going to like me. I've been told that I'm not shit. I ain't never going to be shit. I wasn't shit, so you ain't going to be shit, right? There's so much that we have dealt with. And that ability to show up authentically as ourselves, I think the younger generation has that, because they come in and baby, they will quit a job, ain't got no plans. They will, but they believe in therapy and focusing on their wellness. So somewhere in there, we did a good job at breaking that cycle, because baby, they will be like, I just need a mental health day, and they show up authentic and true, like it or not.
Yeah.
But I think for me, it didn't come for me until honestly my 40s, where I really felt like where I had to accept me for everything that I am, good, bad, ugly. And I've talked about my journey and how I'm a nudist at heart, and how I don't necessarily believe in the concept of monogamy as a requirement, right? That I've been hurt, but that I also ain't shit sometimes, because I've done a lot of hurting people too, out of my own pain, right?
Yep.
Yes. And when do we get that, right?
Yeah, hurt people as well. So you know, that is one of the things that we say often, but it's really true, because you don't know what to do with your hurt. So now you are now in turn hurting other people.
You go and spew that pain on somebody else. And then we act like this trauma that we're holding inside, it becomes a part of our personality, right? Oh, she's so raw and rough around the edges. She's so this, she's so that. And you've got all these walls built up. And you're so afraid to let somebody in because you're going to be hurt again, right? But we also look at, I have to put myself, everybody else in front of me, right? Everybody else comes before me, because I was taught that was bad for me to put myself first, right? So Stacey, why do you think that Black women, that we struggle so much with making ourselves a priority, and how do we go about changing that? Because for some of us, that's a deep psychological traumatic thing that has us doing it.
And we don't even realize that we do it, and we teach it to our kids. I remember years ago, I was always, I used to teach dance at my church, and every time I pulled up in the parking lot, my head would hurt. Because it was just, I was doing it because nobody else would do it. And I remember my daughter, she was in high school, and she said, "Why do you keep doing it?" Because nobody else would do it. I was teaching her right then how to be a doormat. I was teaching her, my needs are not important. It's what everybody else wants. And that is something, they watch us and they mimic that behavior. Healing needs to break that generational cycle. They need to see us healing and not bending over backwards to make everybody else happy. And my transformation story is just that. I had a loss. I lost my fiance and I didn't deal with it. I put on a mask every day.
Yeah.
And like my story is the truth behind my smile. I smile. Okay, hey. My thing is to make everybody else happy, make everybody else laugh. I was hurting inside, but I was always, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. I didn't know how to be a person to be cared about because I was always the person that was given that. But I had to think how I feel when I'm able to help somebody. Why am I taking that from somebody else? And again, we never been taught that. We mimic what we see. When I first started, it was all surface level. The self-care, self-love, self-validation, it wasn't, but then when I started evolving myself, I started saying, wait a minute, I have a blockage up and I didn't realize I did. I wouldn't let anybody get close to me. So I only look for surface relationships because for me to open up and be vulnerable means I'm having to deal with my loss. I had to deal with that pain because now I'm saying I'm ready to do this again. And I hadn't dealt with that. And it was hard. It's hard to set boundaries. It's hard to say no. It's hard to say that because we just learned behavior.
Not to.
And then when I started coming from a place of accountability, I was losing people left and right. I was losing clients left because I made them feel good. But that's the problem. We make people feel good. Sometimes we got to sit with the ugly stuff. And we have to accept the ugly part. Accepting it is the first part of healing. You have to accept, just like you just said, I messed up myself. But it's okay today. My past mistakes, my past choices don't define who I am today and where I'm going next. But for us, we are, and how we look at each other. We're judgmental. We and we worry about perception of other people. Other people, like, why do we care what other people think? But that's the way we are. It's based on a societal acceptance. I had to put on that mask every day because everybody is expecting me to be okay, me to be happy, me to be smiling. And instead of dealing so I had to learn, I had to evolve, I had to grow. But doing it, I had to own up to a lot of stuff. I had to, look at the hard stuff. I had to sit, cry. But we taught that behavior. I taught my daughter that. I taught her that as long as everybody else is happy, worry about you later. I taught her that, not telling her, but she saw it. She saw me doing that. And she even had enough sense to say, why are you
still doing that? You don't even like it.
Yeah, because they're just like that. I used to get on her by coming to my job. She was a basketball player, and she natural, whatever. She know who she is. I love that about her. And I was like, why you got to come to my job with your hair looking all mess? I said, what if I came to your school with rollers? I just tell people you're my aunt. They don't care about
unbothered.
Yeah, but I learned this from my parents. Perception. If people thought, oh, Stacey's doing this, that's not even what I want to do. I'm in jobs that I'm getting promotions and this and that, but I hate it. I wasn't doing it. And that's how I ended up started coaching and mentoring and doing all the things I do. I started pouring into others. It was easy to pour into others and not deal with me. It was easy.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't have to deal with me. I'm pouring into others.
You better get a clap on that one. I think people missed what you said, right? And I don't want to gloss over that. You were pouring into others, so you didn't have to focus on your problems. And how many of us do that and say, oh, I'm fine, and I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and you've become the Captain Saver, the savior. You feel like it is your job, your duty, and requirement to save everybody, so that you don't have to participate in your own saving.
Yep. And a lot of people want to know everybody else's business because they know their situation is jacked up. But it makes them feel good to see yourself because they don't have to deal with theirs. So they do comparison. But me, I didn't focus on me. I focus on raising my daughter. I focus on doing this for everybody else. I don't want to deal with Stacey. I don't want to, because to do that, I have to admit that my life has changed. My life will never be the same. And that's opening up wounds that you just don't want to deal with. It's hard. It takes to disconnect it from everybody. You can self-reflect. It's like I used to look at myself as a third party because I can't. You got to get out your feelings. Think logically. And we women are emotional. We just naturally emotional creatures, but sometimes we have to get away from that and think in a logical way. Don't let your heart always make the decisions. You have to learn to make logical decisions, and head, heart, mind, body, and soul. But it's just, thinking away, disconnect from everybody. You can't keep being around the same people that's doing the same thing. Disconnect and be by yourself and be okay to be by yourself. Because you're never going to get another perspective if you continue to do the same things and be in the same circles and get around somebody that's going to make you grow. Think different. Challenge me. Challenge me. Make me think. I'm going to have to agree.
A lot of people don't want to be challenged. They want to be coddled. They want to live in the matrix, right? They want to live in that world where everything's okay. I can act like everything's fine. I'm just going to go to brunch with my girlfriends and blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to act like all this trauma that's in my heart and in my spirit and my soul is not there. And everything's fine. And I'm going to focus and pour all this love in everybody else. And I'm going to put that mask on every day faithfully. And I want people to tell me that everything is fine, that everything's going to be okay, and that I don't actually have to fight and work for my healing. Yeah. Right. And that's one of the major things. I think what people have to realize is your transformation just simply starts with a decision. I need you to choose yourself. I need you to choose your healing. I need you to choose your peace. I need you to realize it's okay to put yourself first. It is actually a requirement to put yourself first, not to put yourself at the bottom of everybody's list. And one of the things that you guys were talking about of teaching Stacey, I'm teaching my daughter that your kids are always watching. If you don't think so, get yourself a toddler who's around you all the time. Give them some of your things and ask them to show you, what does mommy do with that?
Yep.
They're going to take that deodorant and try and put it under their arm. They're going to try and put some lipstick all over their face, right? They're going to try and curl their hair. They're going to get their little thing and try to drink out their drink. They're going to, emulate. There's a lady I watch on TikTok, her daughter, she does these skits where her daughter acts like her. And this lady is like cusses and doing all things. And I love the skits because it's very telling of how somebody sees you.
Yep.
And they're emulating everything we do. So if you teach them that I'm not good enough, that I'm not worthy, what are you telling them? Because if they see you giving in to everybody, never saying no, always saying yes, even when they can tell you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Taking your anger and frustration out on them, what do they learn? They learn to model what they see. And if they're not seeing quality representations of a healed woman, what are you teaching your girls? And then what are you teaching your boys about how to treat women? It's not just our girls we got to worry about, because as women, we teach men how to treat us every single day. And we teach our boys how to treat women because they see how our daddy treated us or how our boyfriend of the moment treats us or whatever. Right. And like I said, it's when you want to change, it's a decision. It does not have to be hard. It is choosing you.
Dysfunction is a learned behavior.
Yes.
And it's not about what you say, it's what you do. It's about what you allow. You show them. If you're in a relationship and it's not loving, it's not kind, that's what they think a normal relationship is. That's normal to them. If they're in a relationship with somebody fighting or wanting to put their hands, that's normal. That's just relationship.
That's what love looks like.
It is. It's what's taught. It's just a talk. Just like racism. It's a learned behavior.
Yes.
They don't care about what you say. They what you do. They mimic what they see. My daughter said, I don't want a job like you. You was always so stressed. You used to always be this and that. So she didn't want a 8 to 5 because all she saw was me coming home burnt out, stressed, complaining about people, I used to always ask my daughter when she was younger, if there was anything you would change about me, what would it be? Because I want her to know she had a voice. Even though she was my child, you still have a voice. And she said, for you not to be on your phone when you pick me up from after school. Done. Every time I turned on that street, phone off. Even if she didn't want to talk, I was available. And it was like giving her a voice, even though they watch us. It may be some things that we do that they may not like. You seeing multiple men. I don't want to see somebody here, a different man here every time I wake up. Give them a voice, and they would teach us a lot because they're. What is it? Well, give me one thing you would change about me. I tell you every day what I want you to do. Tell me, and that was the one thing she said. And she's like me 6th, 7th grade. And except for you not to be on your phone when you pick me up from school. Because I'm complaining about something at work. They hear all that. You know what?
I do, 100%.
That's an easy one.
Got it. That's an easy fix. Done.
Yeah.
Done. Give me something harder. Give me something harder. That was easy.
When I turned on the street, that phone went off. And little did I know that helped me. I needed that disconnect. Why am I bringing this with me? I'm giving y'all too much power. I'm bringing y'all into my house.
Right.
I gave you too much power. This right here is for people that love, that care about me. The people that care if I'm happy, I'm sad. It's all like, who's in your front row? It should only be the people that care if you're having a bad day, care if you're not feeling well. Anybody else should not be able to affect or trigger an emotion. Who's in your front row? I have people that loved ones, relatives. I love them, but they always in the balcony. I can't even see them.
Mm-hmm.
I wait.
Yeah.
But if you don't care about me, some people you have to tell people, I'm not a human garbage can. You can't just call me and just pour, and then you go on off the phone. Analyze every relationship. What do I get from this relationship? It has to be a give and take. People take it. You an empath, or you like me, as you can see a level top. People just dump on you. So you have to, how do I feel when I leave this person?
Right. Well, you have to know how to block, right? I can allow you to talk and to share what's going on, but there's a certain level that I will never do. If we're only doing the pity party, then you're going to have to talk to somebody else, right? I will always be there for my friends when they want to talk, but you have to know that I'm going to talk back to you. I'm going to ask you, do you want me to listen? Or do you want me to help you resolve the problem? Because sometimes people don't want you to resolve the problem. I want you to fix it. I just might need to vent a little bit. But we're not about to have a 30-minute, an hour rant. I'm going to let you get it in. Are you good? And if you don't want me to help you resolve it, then let's move on to the next thing, right? Because that's how I protect my peace.
That's
right. That's how I protect my peace. And if I'm not whole, right? I mean, if I'm carrying all these old wounds, this old trauma, then I get into trauma bonds with you then. Because all we sit and do is bond over trauma. I had a friend like that. We were both going through things with these guys, and literally the bond was nothing but trauma. That's all we talked about. That's all we talked about.
Yeah.
All we talked about. And I was like, okay, this can't continue. That's not a friend. That is a trauma bond. And I think sometimes we don't even know it. It's until you start healing. But when you're still carrying that weight of those old wounds, you will never be on that road to being whole.
Yep.
Because we're taught to push through. You're going to push through. You're going to suppress your emotions, because we as Black women can't be too emotional anywhere in the world, right? And you're supposed to put that mask on, put that smile on, right?
And that cape. Don't forget the cape.
Baby. Okay? I got the cape. I got the outfits. Okay? Because, even when I'm hurt, I'm still supposed to be there for you and save you.
Yep, exactly.
Right? So when do we start healing us? And what people don't get is, yes, I have to step back from you and from everybody else so I can heal myself. Yes, it's going to be a lonely road, a lonely journey, because can't nobody save you. Nobody's coming to save you. Can't nobody fix you. You have to do that hard work yourself. A therapist can help you identify some things. A coach can help you identify some things and help you carve out a path. But who has to do the work? You. If you're not willing to do the work, you're going to stay in that cycle, and you gonna meet the same person with a different face, the same problem with a different, slightly different twist, until you learn that lesson. That's just how it is. And we have to learn, how do we get rid of the baggage?
Yep.
Right? That Erykah Badu song, Bag Lady.
Yeah.
Everything that hurts us, now we picking up a new bag.
Mm-hmm.
How do we start getting rid of the baggage?
Like you said, the first step is acknowledging it, and just, being able to know, because some people are comfortable. They're more comfortable with that. Most people are more comfortable in dysfunction. Like I heard this man say, you can be in a darkness so long that light hurt your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Here, like, change is hard. Change is difficult, but you have pain. Out of pain comes growth. And most people, I'm comfortable. I'm okay with the norm. This is comfortable. Yeah, I know, he cheat, she cheat, but I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable. He keep the lights on. So you comfortable with dysfunction. You have to be uncomfortable and to be able to say, just like a friend, like, I get bored real easy. I'm like, you ain't got nothing to talk about. And I have people tell me all the time, I'm not, and they'll stop calling you. Like, I can't keep doing this. Like, I don't like telling people the same stuff over and over. So I can't. We're not going back. This is where we are. But I'm not going back. I care too much and think too much of my time and my energy. And I'm always thinking of things I could be doing besides listening to this. Because I heard it the other day. I'm not doing that. I can't do it.
Yeah, so for me, I would say the dreaded B word, and not the B word that we think about, but boundaries. I think that's where it starts. And I always tell people that no is an absolute complete sentence. It's no period, right? So you don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to say, well, no, I don't want to do it because. Nope, just say no. And I think that is a lot that's hard for women in general to say no, because we want to always be there. We always want to be that support. So boundaries. So the dreaded B word. Yeah. So if you start there.
It's not dreaded here. We love the B word.
I love it.
This, but there is not a show. I don't care if we talking about, it don't matter what the topic is. Every show, we're going to talk about boundaries, and we're going to talk about you stop giving out of your store. We're supposed to give out of our abundance. We are not supposed to give out of what's in our cup. That's for us. We're supposed to give out of that overflow.
Yeah, whatever spills over. Yeah.
Whatever spills over is for you. What's in there is for me. Right? What's in there is for me. And I think as Black women, we're taught to be strong instead of taught to be healed. Right? Strong Black woman is not just an identity. It was a survival mechanism that we needed to get by, to get over. But the problem with that is it keeps us from feeling safe enough to be vulnerable, to be soft, or to ask for help. How many of us will go down on that ship before we're going to reach out and say we need help? Your favorite therapist got something that she's not going to ask for help on. None of us are perfect. No, to me, there's no such thing as healed. It's just like cancer. It can come back. It can be triggered back. But now we have to have ways to deal with the triggers. We don't have to always respond with this big blow up or this big meltdown, right? We have to know when to pause, when to rest, when to reset, when to care for ourselves. And like you said, when to tell people no, hell no, 9. Pick a language, right?
I hate the terminology that we get sucked into is strong, because like you said, it doesn't give us the opportunity to be soft. It gives us, it makes us survive. And I don't want to survive. I deserve to be soft. I deserve to be nurtured. I deserve, like they say, the young people say now, I want to be in my soft girl season. I deserve all of that. So, I think that being strong costs us too much sometimes. It's okay to literally do nothing, be nothing in that moment. It's okay to literally do exactly what you want to do when you want to do it.
Mm-hmm. And I think when we look at Black women and our inability sometimes to be, or our uncomfortableness with being vulnerable, right? It's like we just need some practices that can help us lean into our vulnerable side, lean into that soft side, right? We don't all have to. Now, I'm a very direct person, often seen as aggressive. It's not a trauma response, it's just who I am, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I also know when I need to rest. I know how to be soft. I know how to be vulnerable because we're going to talk through it. If you got a problem with me, come and talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk through it, right? But journaling,
Mm-hmm.
great way for you to be vulnerable and nobody else to see it. Your intro to vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
You got to learn how to be vulnerable with yourself first. With
Mm-hmm.
yourself first. And then use your journaling to help you reframe all these negative thoughts, emotions, and patterns into positive ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
We already talked about therapy and the ability to have safe conversations, right? Sometimes we do need some help from a third party, not your best friend,
Mm-hmm.
not your auntie, sometimes not even the pastor at church,
Mm-hmm.
but a professional who has been trained to help you think through some of the things and get to that root cause and create a plan for you to get out of it. And sometimes we have to release those old narratives. We got to release people, places, things,
Mm-hmm.
thoughts, attitudes about ourselves.
Definitely.
We have to release all of that. Stop holding on to that. I got to do it all myself. I have to be there for everybody. I have to be everybody's everything. I got to save the world. You don't. You don't. You deserve rest. You deserve to just focus on you. Oh my God, imagine that.
You said it right there in a nutshell. You deserve. And I don't think a lot of times we believe that we deserve.
Yep.
And I think that is the key to healing in totality, is believing that you can heal, that you can be whole, that you can be untouchable. Believing those things. Like, how do we believe those things that we've never been taught those things? How do we get to that place of knowing I deserve, that I'm worthy, that I am enough? So I think that is where that hard work come into, that you got to love all of you, love those ugly parts, like you said, love those things that don't look great all the time, love those things that you might not like about yourself. So if you don't like it, somebody else probably else don't like it too, right? So figuring out, like, how do I get to figuring out, like, why don't I love it? What's the issue? Did somebody tell me I shouldn't love it? Or is it something that I really need to work on?
Yeah.
But like, how it's a mind, everything about healing is a mindset change, right?
Yes.
If you don't believe it, if you don't receive it, you're not going to be in a place of healing. And like you said, healing is something that is continuous. That is something that is going to happen throughout life. You may be healed by one situation, but there's something else that may come up later on that you didn't even know you had an issue with. So it's a continuous thing in life. So how do you get to that point of believing I'm lovable, I'm worthy, I deserve it? How do you believe? Like, how do you get to that point? And so I want to ask that question to you all. How do you get to the point, or what will be your advice to somebody who do not believe that they deserve it?
Kind of understanding why. I mean, the reason why. A lot of it is kind of how you were raised, and what are you judging it by? I did a motivational speech, and one time I was saying how we so hard on ourselves, and I did this like imagine like of God creating us, Him molding us, and when we say something about ourselves, we're just criticizing His work, because He made us perfect in His eyes. And when I say something about me, I'm telling you, oh, that's not right. You didn't do that right. You should have did this another way. I don't like having this long face. I'm His creation. I was made perfect. in his eyes. So again, it's going back to kind of, you got to get at that. Where did it come from? You always got to find out, how did it start? Why do we feel this way about ourselves? And back to that strong Black woman, like, we are taught that too. My mom raised me by herself, and I saw her do it all by herself. I didn't know how to allow somebody to love me. I didn't know it until I got in there. Because women, we've been doing everything ourselves. If I give you the ball, you may drop it because it's been dropped before. So I got to take lead. But until I had someone there that was strong enough to love me, I had to, like, dang, I never had this before. I don't want to be the leader. I want to be able to follow. I want that chest to lay my head down on, to say, make me feel protected. We don't know how, we never seen it until it comes, and then we're like, oh, this feels good. Vulnerability is strength, you know.
That's good.
And that's just, that's strength. Being vulnerable. It's, some women so hard, but it's something behind it. They've been hurt, they've seen hurt, and they don't want to let that down. Like my loss, I had a blockage, and I don't want to go through that again. That was hard, but I had to remember I survived it. So that makes me strong because I survived it. So I had to take that back instead of looking at it as a loss. And I'm not going to let anybody hurt me no more. But, I take it, I had it. It was wonderful. I know how it feels, but, I'm human, like, it's okay. You have to let people in so they can, we just got to be taught that it's a journey. I went through therapy, but it didn't sink in until later as I evolved. So everything that you tell somebody, they're not going to get it right then. They have to be in a place, like that mindset shift, and then they receive it. It goes to the journey. I heard it before, but it sounds different now.
Mm-hmm.
A different place in life.
Yeah. Now ask your question one more time.
What would be your advice to somebody who feel like they didn't deserve peace, rest, vulnerability, being at a place that they can be whole, healed, and untouchable?
I definitely agree. You have to go back to the source. You have to go back to the source of why you don't feel worthy, right? Who was it or what was it that told you that you weren't worthy of love, that you weren't worthy of peace, that you weren't worthy of happiness, that you had to be everybody's doormat, or whatever your feeling is, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to start there, because you have to know what caused it so you can work to repair it, right? But you also have to start from where you are too, and realize how do you talk to yourself in this time. Yes, we have to go back and look at what the source was, but we also have to look at our actions now. Are we mindful? Are we present in our own lives? Or am I just, I tell people in my business, are you the leading lady in your own story?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you a supporting character in your movie? How am I a supporting character in my movie? Yeah. But that's what we've become, because we believe that everybody is more important than us. That's what we've been taught culturally. That's what Black women have been taught. Once you have kids, you become a mother, you stop being Leanne, and now I became somebody's mother, somebody's wife, the chauffeur, the doctor, the therapist, the financier, the da 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 da. And we get pushed down further and further. But then we've got people also in our ear that's telling us you pretty for a dark-skinned girl.
Mm-hmm.
You sexy for a big girl, as if you can't have them together.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Then you've got society telling you, you ain't shit. We don't want you here. We're not building safe spaces for you to be. So we've got to navigate all these things that are set against us. So the first thing, get to that root. Second, pray. Pray to whoever. I don't care who you're praying to, but pray. Have faith in yourself. And if you don't believe it, sometimes you got to lie to yourself until you do believe it. Sometimes you have to lie to yourself and say, you know what, I am the shit. And you have to look in that mirror every day. One of the practices I have in my practices, I have you write yourself a love letter. You don't know how hard that is when you're somebody who doesn't feel worthy of love.
Been there, done it.
But it makes it's such a freeing activity. And if they can't do that, then I'm back you up. I need you to write every morning 3 things that you love about yourself. And over the course of a week, you can't put the same thing down twice. Because what it does is it forces you to look at the good in you. There's no way that you can't look at the good in you and still continue to not feel worthy of love. Right in the evening, they have to write 3 things that they were grateful for, or 3 good things that happened that day, because gratitude is another way to show your self-love. And then tell yourself that you forgive yourself. I have moments where I ain't shit. I know that. I 100% know that. There are moments when Leanne ain't shit. But I always forgive myself. I always get right back up, and I'm going to go and I'm going to do good for others. Because when you do good for others, it makes you feel good. Right? So there's all of these things. And you just keep doing it. Keep being consistent. Don't try to do 5 million things. Pick one thing. I'm going to write these, my gratitude every night, or I'm going to write 3 things I love about myself every day. Pick one thing. Start there. When you've got that down, add another self-love thing to your plate. And every day, wake up to your favorite song. Now, my favorite song is Jill Scott, Hate on Them Haters. That is my theme music, because it's like, no matter what I do, you're not going to be happy. So why should I be focused on you? I'm going to focus on me, and I'm going to do me, because you ain't going to be happy anyway. You want to happy over there by yourself anyway. So I'm going to focus on me. So those are just some things that I would say that, and realize it's going to take time. This ain't a tomorrow thing. You ain't going to be whole, healed, happy, and living your best life and going from surviving to thriving in one day. It took you 40 years to get to the way you are. Give yourself grace and give yourself time, and actually really work through the things.
And stay off social media, because a lot of times that it plays into people how they feel about themselves. You comparing yourself to what you feel like everybody else is doing, or what everybody else, and it's what they put their best stuff out there. Why would they put their worst stuff out there? So a lot of times we get sucked into that. We saw Billy strolling instead of working on us. I probably lost so many friends because I don't stroll through timelines. If you don't pop up in the first 10, 15 seconds, and people will say, she ain't like myself, I don't like. But again, I'm just not defined by likes. I'm not defined by past mistakes. I'm not defined by who you think I should be. That's one thing, self-validation. Even when I'm looking a hot mess, girl, you better do that. And no, I've been looking a hot mess, but I'm me, and I love me. I love who God made me. I'm me. I'm in it. I'm all of that. Everything.
At your worst.
I love some Stacey, and that's just it. But I had to fall in love with Stacey. It happened yesterday. I had to fall in love with her.
Clap on that.
I got another fan, girl.
little clack. But because I agree that falling in love with yourself is such an important thing, and it takes time. It takes time. Things that you're going to do. But getting past I don't like the shape of my nose, or I don't like that I'm fat, or I don't like that this, I'm that. There's so many things you could not like. Why focus on that when you could focus on what are the things that you do like? What are the things that you do like about yourself? And I know that sometimes it's hard, because what people will do is they will still make their statements of like and love for themselves about somebody else. I love how I care for people. That's not what I asked you.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that God really had to work on me with this year. He said, remove all the titles.
Mm.
And who are you? Like if you are a mother, if you are a sister, remove all of those.
Yeah, strip it down.
And who are you? So that's one of the really things that I had to work in, because a lot of times we become our title.
Yep.
Right? So who are you without that title? So I think that's a good place to also start, because a lot of times you always see, a lot of times you see some mothers, their kids go to college and they like, what I'm going to do? I have no idea what I'm going to do, because they have no idea who they are. Right? So like starting there, who are you? If you did not have kids, if you were not a wife, if you were not a sister or cousin, who are you? If you were not a boss, if you were not in your business, who would you do? What would you be doing? You know, like, so look at those things of who are you? So I think that's a good place to also start, of like figuring out your healing or where you are in life. Like, who am I? And that's a big question. A lot of times we don't know. I'm 39 and I'm still trying to figure out who I am, who I want to be. You know, they always say when I grow up, I want to be this.
Yeah.
I have no idea still, you know? So, and it's okay, you know, it's okay too. So,
because it changes.
It changes.
Who I wanted to be when I was 10 is different than when I was 20. It's different than when I was 30, 40, and 50.
Yep.
Right? So it changes, it evolves. We're supposed to, right? So I think another thing is, where are you spiritually? How aligned are you spiritually? Right? When you're in true alignment, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, nothing can honestly shake you. Right? So what is your spirituality? Doesn't matter if you believe in God, Jehovah, or you don't believe in a grace or a God or anything at all. Right? But where is your spirit? And how are you in alignment, mind, body, and soul? Right? And what does it really mean to you? Because I think when you're aligned, you have to know your worth. You have to be willing and committed to stand firm in your peace and stop letting outside forces really dictate your joy. Right? How do I stop letting everyone else dictate what joy is for me, what success means for me, what happiness means for me, what love means for me? Right? You had Iyanla Vanzant who got divorced because, you know, people are like, well, she can't even keep her. No, she realized that he couldn't love her the way that she desired to be loved. It doesn't make him a bad person. He's not the right person for her.
Yep.
Yep.
And she could have stayed in that for the sake of everybody. Oh, I'm a relationship coach but I had a failed marriage. Or she could say, this isn't serving me. It's not serving him. We are not happy in this space. We've tried to correct it. Why would we stay here? Why would we stay here? I could be sad in bed and do bad all by myself. I don't need you here bringing me down too. And now I'm getting resentful of you because I don't want to be here any longer. You don't want to be here any longer. But we're letting outside forces dictate what happiness looks like for us. You know? But you have to start by being real with yourself. And like Ashley was saying, when you strip all of the titles down and you're left with, who are you? Who are you? Do you know what you like? Do you know what you don't like? Do you know what you will and will not accept, what your deal breakers are? Do you know what lights you up? Do you know what dims your light? Right? You have to go deep inside you to look at, who am I really?
And do it while you're in a healthy place, because most people have to do it when something's happened. You've lost someone, your kids go off, and then you're saying, okay, I have to redefine what that looks like. And most of the time, you got emotions to deal with. At the same time, you're trying to find out who you are, or redefining who you are, reinventing yourself. And we have to, but do it while you're in a healthy place.
Yes.
You know, not just when something happened, I don't have no choice but to figure
Yeah.
out what that looks like.
Proactive versus reactive.
Mhm.
Yeah. Think about it. When you're happy, that is the best time for you to say, okay, let me take a life inventory.
Mhm.
Let me do an audit of the things that make me happy, the things that make me sad. That's the best time to remove people from your life.
Mhm.
That's the best time, because when you remove that old, you're making room for the new. There's people that are supposed to have been in your life that can't get there because you ain't got no space for them,
Mhm.
right? And we have to clear some things out. But sometimes you got to stop moving and just sit and be still.
And be okay with being uncomfortable. Change is
Yes, to that
uncomfortable.
one.
Yeah, change is uncomfortable. Be okay with that. See, we're comfortable because everything is being taken care of, but I'm unhappy. So you have to be uncomfortable. Living by yourself for the first time is hard and it's scary, but you got to be okay with that. You got to know what love is. A lot of people don't know what love is. Love is defined by what you do for me.
Yes.
Love is defined by that you show up sometime. We got to know what love is.
Yes.
And a lot of us don't. It's defined about what you do.
I mean,
Most relationships are based on.
It's
Yeah.
hard to understand what love is when you've never been taught it. But we gotta go. It's been an hour, and an hour always goes so fast. So I definitely want to thank you guys. I know, Ashley, you got to go. If you'd like to say a few words and let people know how they can connect with you before you drop.
Such a great conversation. I feel like we should definitely do this again.
Definitely.
The vibe and energy was amazing.
Yes.
But you can reach me on all platforms at She's Selfish LLC. And my website is sheselfish.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And yes, you are definitely invited to come back to the Wake Up Happy Sis show anytime. We have an open door policy here once you've been accepted as a guest. So you can come back anytime. We can definitely do this again. Thank you so much for coming. Stacey, would you like to have any final words and let people know how they can connect with you?
Yeah, again, I enjoyed this. Thank you for sharing your space with me. I am on all platforms as well under my business name, Driven by Purpose. So please look me up. And I also have a YouTube channel that I'm launching called Reboot Your Life. And it's all about reset. It's never too late to start over, where people come and share their transformational story. So that's something to look out for. So Reboot Your Life with Stacey and Driven by Purpose.
Yes, well, definitely. Thank you for coming out, for showing out, for being here with us today, and sharing a little bit of yourself and your experiences with our audience. So one of the things I want y'all to take away from today's conversation is you ain't never had to earn the right to rest, to heal, or to put yourself first. That is not something you have to earn. Wholeness isn't something that you chase, it's something that you claim and you put the steps in action to make it a reality. And you are worthy of claiming it, but you have to believe it. You have to believe it. And if you don't believe it yet, you've got to put in the work to get to the point that you do believe it. So I want to thank my fabulous, beautiful guests, Stacey Sizemore and Ashley Browning, for sharing their wisdom, their truth, and their healing with us today. Y'all look out next week, Monday and Thursday, our last shows of the season, of season 11. Then we'll be off for a few weeks while we prep for season 12. And hopefully you guys will come back and hang with us.
Thank you so much again. Thank you.
You're welcome. Right. And we will see. As always, I want y'all to wake up happy, sis. We'll see you later. Bye. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Wake Up Happy Sis Show. Join us live every Monday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern for more joy, healing, and sisterhood. Until next time.